Hi, everyone. Cilla is so funny. I mean, I cannot stop laughing. How did you call this hour, Cilla?
Chicken without a head.
how,
when you kill a chicken, it's supposed to run around with its legs, but no head. That's what I've been doing for the last hour.
Today we are talking about 2020. So, what would you say about 2020? Would it be like a chicken without a head?
No, 2020 hasn't happened yet. I'm hoping. I mean, everybody I know has had a really terrible 2019, and I've had a great year. So I'm just hoping that it carries on.
So you have a lot of projects also going on for 2020, and having that idea of something waiting for us or something preparing, it helps also, to get through the new year.
Well, this year I don't have to be in the UK, which is for me a great boon. A couple of years ago, I was in the UK and I came back on New Year's Eve, which is not a good idea. So I'm just going to take it easy. I've got a friend coming to stay, which is going to be lovely.
So that is really lovely.
But apart from that, no, I'm not going to do anything. I'm just hoping my tarot, the new tarot, will be on its way back to the UK by then.
Yeah. I hope you receive it soon. I've been waiting for that tarot deck for a long time now.
I only started it last August, so it can't have been all that long. No, wait. Yes, last August, 2018, I started it.
All right. So now the first question I would ask you, we said that we're going to do this like in an intuitive way and seeing the cards, how they will communicate. So the first card to talk about is nature. And what comes to me is that, Cilla, you are so natural in your way of being, in your way of painting. You are authentic in a way. How come you are like that? And what would you suggest for us to be authentic like you?
I was very lucky that when I was about, 34 or so, I met up with a teacher in Wales. And I was doing these tiny little I've done my tarot. I'd done the intuitive tarot by that stage. And those were 4 by 5, 4 inches by 5 inches. So they were small. And I said to him, I actually can't work unless it's small. And he said, that's not a problem. When you work, you just look at what you've done. If you don't like it, you cut out the little bits that you like and you frame those. And I thought, yeah, I can do that. And then 3 months later, I was working on a 5-foot canvas, completely intuitively. I mean, I'd gone to an exhibition on Picasso, I think, and I hated it. And I came home and I thought, I don't like his forest spirit. I'm going to put my own. And I started with a sort of a drawing. And then I turned the whole thing upside down and I looked at it and I thought, yeah. And I carried on like that for about 3 months. And I was getting really bored. And I took a shot of it. And at that stage, it was on a Polaroid. And behind the figures, there was this dark figure dancing. And I was like, oh my God, he's fantastic. And so I finished the picture, and they're called night dancers. Unfortunately, it's in the other room and I can't show it to you. I'll try and post the picture later. But that showed me what I was working with, that I didn't have to think. I didn't have to plan a picture. I just had to paint and see what wanted to come through. And that's still how I work.
This is wonderful. So one of the things you are advising us, or you are giving me as a key, is for 2020, we do not really to think too much about things we want to do or what we are, or just be in a way. And this is really interesting. Yeah. The Hermit card from your tarot deck came out too, and it feels like being with yourself and knowing yourself is also part of that. It will help us to let go. Okay, I don't need an identity. I don't need so just drop that all.
Yeah, of course, the hermit is just one step in front of the other. He doesn't know where he's going. He knows there's something inside him that is telling him he has got to move, but he doesn't know where to. So he just walks and he goes into the underground, or the underworld, and carries on walking.
And talking about the underworld, how do you connect to the underworld or to the other worlds? This
How
was
do
a
I
question
connect
that
to it?
people asked you about.
Okay, I'm not going to take a card. How do I connect to the underworld? Hey guys, how do I connect to the underworld? This is probably not the right. Can you see it? I drew the Knight of Water in the Shimmering Veil Tarot.
Yes.
So I wouldn't actually, I'm not very good at feelings, I'm afraid. The Knight is telling me that to connect to the underworld, I have to go into feelings. How do I connect to the underworld? I suppose to some degree, I kind of journey. I think you were talking about journeying earlier. I used to visualize going down a route or something, but I don't do that anymore. I think I look at the shadow stuff in myself and think, I really don't want to look at this. Do I really have to look at it? But when I actually do look at it, it always is a teacher. It's like, oh my God, that's real. That's me. I don't do the love and light stuff, I'm afraid. I'm not very love and light stuff. Nice. I'm not nice. And I don't think the Knight of Water is either. He's more like Poseidon, and I really like Poseidon. He sort of whooshes out of the sea. So he's been in the deep ocean, and he comes out and he says, what have you got to say to me? Why are you waking me up? That's what he's saying to me anyway. He doesn't take any shit. And maybe I shouldn't say that. I'll try and keep my language English.
Yeah, but we got your point. And to be honest, having that way of being makes change. Also, brings like that revolution. It's the spirit of revolution, maybe. No.
Of revolution.
Yes, it's the spirit of
evolution. Evolution.
Yes.
Yeah, I think so. I'd certainly call him an evolutionary energy. It's quite interesting. Can we do more of this, please?
Sure. I got these two cards, which is really interesting. It's called Reconciliation.
And reconciliation.
Yes, I got Reconciliation for you, and I got 6 of Wands or Baton.
Oh.
Okay. Oh, this is interesting. We're talking about the Warrior and not nice, but maybe for 2020 something will happen. Maybe it's time to reconcile that part, light and love, as we have to reconcile with the shadow part too.
True, but let me work. I'm just going to take a card from the new deck.
Yes.
The David 2 deck.
Go ahead, yes.
Which is, all right, it's jumped out, so let's have a look and see what it is. I love it. I love this bloody deck. It's fantastic. This, if you can see it, come on.
Yes, here. Yes.
This is the unconscious.
Oh.
But what I say about it is, it's not very clear, but it's a golden. You go down this tunnel, and you end up in this strange, formless type place, but it's got a golden light. One of my friends is really keen on the golden unconscious. I should be, because basically a hell of a lot of nice things in me are just not owned. I say I'm not very nice. I'm actually very sweet, really.
Yes, you are. And many people are saying that. Christine, she met you in London, and she said, she had the pleasure to meet you in London a few years ago, and it triggered a lot of creativity in her. And also, Elle Deschênes, she's telling that you're really nice and have warm vibes. especially when she chatted with you and ordered decks from you. So yes, maybe reconciliating with this part of you, you know, that you are nice. It's fine.
I think if you say, really, if you can own it, it makes other people not so scared, because everybody has shit stuff, dark stuff in themselves that they won't own. And if you've got somebody who says, well, that's right, I'll give you an example. All my paintings, right up until I started the David deck, the first David deck, were really quite dark.
Mhm.
And I used to go to art workshops, and quite a few of the people there were into love and light, and they really hated my pictures. Until one of the nicer ones decided that she'd try dark, and she put something into her painting, and it really brought it to life. And it was like, oh my God. So that was a bit of a lesson for her, I think.
This is really interesting, because when we talk about shadow, it also brings colors to our human life. You know, it's like I said earlier, we connected to our core, which is, for me, it was an angel. Surprise. But but at the same time, an angel that has also some colors when it comes to the earth, and limitation and suffering and anger, and you know, all this stuff we need to live with. And this is interesting,
I
Cilla. We're
know.
talking about relationships, and we are talking about our way of maybe being with people. And I just got the Ace of Cups for you.
I want to show you something I did this morning. It's not finished, so don't expect a wonderful painting yet, but if I can find it. I had this very unsuccessful, I don't know how clear it's going to be, sorry. No, it just looks like a white blob. Sorry. Again, I'll have to see if I can post it. It was of a storm, and it hadn't worked. And I thought, I hate this thing. It's not working. What can I do with it? And I looked at it, and there was this ghost animal in it, like a horse or a wolf. So I tried to bring that out a little bit. And then I gave it a companion, and the companion is maybe a fallen angel. I think it's an angel, but it's got horns. And I'm just going to call it, I don't know, what was I going to call it? Moonrise or something like that. But I love the concept of this ghost animal and a ghost angel.
Mm-hmm.
And I suppose a lot of people wouldn't put that in because it's scary, but I love it.
It is scary. And what I find interesting in your decks is it goes up, but it goes down too. And talking about that, you know, in your divas of creation, I don't know the second part how much, but you were talking about 11 dimensions or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Can you tell us
Okay,
more
that
about
was one of the questions. Sorry, I'm
Yes,
talking
go
over
ahead.
you. That was one of the questions that one of my friends came up with. She wanted to know why I'd moved away from the idea of 8 dimensions to the idea of 11 dimensions for the new Devas. Both the shimmering veil and the Deva 2 deck started out with the idea of 8 dimensions of consciousness, because that's my thing. I'm totally into the universe is not made out of atoms. It's not matter. It's consciousness, which really, if you think about it, explains a hell of a lot, especially, you know, telepathy, synchronicity, the fact that you can think of somebody and then it connects to them, all that sort of stuff. The quantum particles do this. We do it. I think we are consciousness made matter, if that helps. Okay, so back to the dimensions. Yes, I'd seen a video on YouTube about 8 dimensions, and this guy had come up with the most beautiful lattice of how 8 dimensions might work. And that's why the back of the shimmering veil has sort of got a crystal lattice on the back, and that's why I called it at the beginning the crystal lattice tarot. But actually, after a while, I thought it's got no bloody crystals in it. I'm going to change the name. And someone came up with the idea of a veil, and I rather like the shimmering idea. So shimmering veil tarot. And I just ignored the whole idea of how many dimensions there were in that particular deck. But when I did the David 2 deck, I began with 8 dimensions, and I painted them, and they were really difficult, and they didn't work, and also boring. And so then I was lucky enough to go to the UK just for a week, and I went to see my friend who always criticizes my decks. He's seen them right from the beginning. The original Davis, the original intuitive tarot even. And he said, I don't think you'll sell many of these because they're very, very abstract. But why 8 dimensions? And I got back home and I thought, why 8 dimensions? I'd always believed, after watching lots of videos, science videos, that there might be 11 dimensions. And I like the idea of 11 dimensions, a sort of angelic number. So I expanded it. Instead of 8 dimensions, I added the first and the second one, which I hadn't painted. And then I added the 9th, 10th, and 11th. And the whole damn deck suddenly fell into place. I was like, oh, maybe the Davis like the idea of 11 dimensions. So that's why 11 dimensions.
I love also the fact that you bring science and spirituality together. How could you do that? Is it, you said, by watching a lot of, is it by watching a lot of documentaries, or how do you bring this together?
I was married to a guy who was more science than art. And so he would talk about this stuff. And then I just carried on. I like the combination. The whole quantum mechanics, physics thing is fantastic. I don't think they've got it right. I really don't think that the scientists have got it right, because there's so much that stuff can't be explained. But, you know, this whole 11 dimension thing, in the second David deck, there is a link to his video. And he says, because there's so much unexplained stuff, I don't really want to bring the whole thing into it, but he showed a clip of what a second dimension person would see, and rolled these billiard balls around, and all the second dimension person could see is colored lights flickering in and out. And he said they come to the conclusion that reality is absolutely inexplicable. But then he showed the 3rd and the 4th and the 5th up to the 11th. And he said, if you expand the dimensions, then everything becomes explained. I'm being too clever. Everything is explained, can be explained. And I thought, Christ, that is so fantastic. Yes, we're not working with the right lot of dimensions. We can't. We're only 3-dimensional. Our brains are quite extraordinary, but they're not on any higher level than the 4th or 5th, if we're lucky. So the scientists can't explain a hell of a lot because they can't do higher dimensions.
That's true. And that's why sometimes we talk about illumination. Sometimes people, when they get it, it's like, sometimes we see it through light, sometimes like an expansion. It's like some parts of our brain have been activated, and some within their brain actually too.
Yeah, absolutely.
So did that happen for you? Did you live that spark, or did you, when you work with divas, what happened? What happens for you? How do you expand your brain?
I said to somebody the other day, she was saying that she was very left brain, and I'm very left brain. I never thought I was intuitive at all until I was trying to get the intuitive tarot published, and I rang somebody who I'd been given the number for, and she said, well, how did these tarot come into being? And I said, well, I was doodling one night, and the fool appeared on my piece of paper, and he was so fantastic that I just followed him, and the rest of the deck was like that. And she said, so it was really quite intuitive, wasn't it? And I said, yeah, I guess. She said, why don't you call it the intuitive tarot then?
This is really interesting. You're talking about contraries, and I got the devil for you.
Sorry, I missed that.
I got the devil when you have been talking about that.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Devil in which in which deck?
In your deck, the intuitive tarot.
Oh, he's great. Well, she is great. I love him, but he is a real dark devil. Oh well. If they want to take me off to wherever, that's fine by me.
It's interesting to see in the chat room that people are talking about so, enjoying the dark side, and we are like we are, but I'm not supposed to be. It's like people are.
Yeah.
I don't want people to dislike me, but I suppose it can be helped if one is to be oneself. Yeah. And I got something here. String theory is 10 dimensions and M theory is 11. The probability fields are manifested from mass based on magical symbols described by the goddesses Alpha Calculus. I mean, this is so technical for me. Thank you, well, Maj. I have no idea what we are talking about here.
I don't think I do either.
Yeah, we got some things to look for. And I have just picked another card, which is 7 of discs. And this is interesting because we are talking about shadows, talking about dimensions and scientific fields. And it looks like our life is a discovery path of everything, even in the scientific field. Like, did you think before that you would paint the devas of creation as too? Before, would you? I mean, it's a path of discovery, right?
Oh God, yes. Yeah.
What did you discover with the second deck with the Divas of Creation? What's new?
The devas. Well, like I said, all my paintings have been very dark. You can't really see it, but behind me is a card that one of my friends called one of the fallen angels. I don't think he's a fallen angel, but you can see the darkness. But as I painted, all these light things started coming through. In the devas, there are particularly, you've got Eros, you've got grace, which is the divine feminine. You've got love, compassion, abundance. There are a whole stack of them. I put 10 in because I wanted it to match the Kabbalah, but I put the feminine above the masculine because I can't stand the Kabbalah. It's too male. But I had to take that on board, that all these light beings had come through me somehow. Therefore, I wasn't as dark as I thought I was.
It's interesting. It's also the link between, and this is a question that is just coming to me. I don't know which year you published the Intuitive Tarot and which year you published the Divas of Creation, but your Divas Creation number 2 will get in 2020. Do you think that there is a reason behind that or something behind that? What if we ask the decks about it?
Well, I had a huge break between the Intuitive Tarot and the Devas of Creation. I did a hell of a lot of therapeutic work and gradually started coming back to myself. And the Devas only there was a whole stack of stuff that happened in 2003 or 2002 to 2003. The Queen said something about one of her years being the horrible, whatever, terrible, marvelous. Mine was the Annus Miraculous. 2002, 2003 was unbelievable. Everything just fell into place. The IT was taken up for a publisher. And I went to this talk on angels, which I had never done and didn't intend to do. And I went to see the guy who was giving the talk at the end. And I said, these angel cards are so horrible. I loved what you said, but the angel cards you've been studying are just disgusting. Now, I'm sure you can know which ones I'm talking about. I said, somebody should paint a deck of angels that says, I think they would be. A friend of mine, this is a digression. A friend of mine had gone into a sitting room and he said there was an entity in the corner there. And he said it wasn't bad. It was just so powerful. He was shaking for a week. And I said this to the guy giving the talk. Any angels that I would want to paint would have to be that powerful. Mm-hmm. So maybe I should paint it. You know, throwaway line. And he said, go for it. And the next morning I thought, well, why don't I? Everything I paint is in this sort of other world. So do it. So I did.
This is interesting. And
I don't know if that answers your question.
Well, I would bring cards. I would bring your cards forward to see if you have answered or not. And I got the 4 of Wands. So I guess your answer isn't there. The 4 of Wands. So we got
the 4 of, yeah, coming home. I love that card. That began as a 3 of Rods. And I loved it as a 3 of Rods, but I can't remember why I decided that it needed to be in a bubble. I don't actually like it in a bubble, but it works. Hey, it works. So the dream, I suppose, coming home in the dream.
Yes, and we are talking about 4, and 2020 is, if we sum them, we are in the 4. And I feel that maybe your deck, especially Divas of Creation, you've put some interesting things there, you know, about the environment, and it's not like something just spiritual and closed from what is happening all over the world. It's something really connected and practical. I feel that maybe 2020 we need to bring spirituality into the political phase, you know, political space in a way. So yeah, I feel that in your decks, they are linked. They are both bringing like science and spirituality, bringing material and also the ether together.
The new David deck is particularly like that. I found it really interesting. The painting, yes, but that was another question that my friend wanted me to ask. Does the painting come first or the words in the book? And the painting always comes first. But every time I edit the book, it pushes me into a different space, different dimension, if you like. I've got a blind friend and he wants much more description of the cards. So fortunately, I'd given them 2 pages each, and I'm having to describe them and downplay all this political stuff, because I went on a rant on just about every single thing. Bloody politicians, not bloody, but politicians, kill them all, you know, sort of thing. Anyway, let's see what the Davis think. Hold on. What's the answer to that, guys? Oh, my God. This one you won't be able to see because it's too dark. It's the collective unconscious. And what it is, I'll try and describe it, is it's sort of a dark khaki background with this figure trying to reach out of the unconscious. And there are a whole stack of very black things pulling them back down again. I base it on a painting by Goya, you know, the black paintings. He's got the most fantastic painting of a dog being pulled down, either trying to get out of the mountain or being pulled down into the mountain. And I just completely love that painting. So that's what this one is about. The collective unconscious, of course, is Jung's thing. Oh, God, I've forgotten what your question was. Obviously, the Davis are telling me that I really need to look at myself on this one. And yes, I do go on a rant, and I've had to turn the whole bloody book down because really these poor people who are reading it will not want to see me on my soapbox. But the collective shadow is all of our shadows combined. And I don't know how many of our viewers have seen the Time of the Sixth Sun. They streamed it in April this year, and now they streamed it just a few weeks ago.
Yes, wonderful shows. Yes.
They were amazing. When I first saw them, I was really depressed because of the whole ecological thing that came up in the Day deck. But this time, I remembered that they were saying it's the collective unconscious that creates our reality. It's not all these nice wishes that we want to be all happy, happy, clappy together, you know? It's the collective unconscious.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we've got the mess we've got. That's why we've got something like Marmalade Menace in America. Don't start me on that one, please.
Well, this is interesting because at the same time I have picked a card and I got the mind concepts or the mental concepts, which is I see a dog in there too, and there is this idea of dismantling this mental concept, so dismantling this mass consciousness of shadow that is coming also for next year, I feel. But how do
What
we
I'm hoping for is that sorry, I'm
yes,
missing half of your dialogue anyway. Say it
yes.
again.
And I said, how do we start? By, you know, it's a collective shadow, but how do we start?
I think we have to own our own and not try and get rid of it. So many people I saw when I was still doing tarot readings are like, oh, I don't want this, I'm going to get rid of it. You can't. You have to integrate it. You have to kind of be a whole person. So the collective shadow, we have to own our own and accept that the worst things that we've seen are part of us. God knows how, but you know, somehow we got to do it. And I also think that it's the pendulum. The pendulum swings all the way up and then all the way back.
Mm-hmm.
And it's gone all the way up to the right. Well, it hasn't gone all the way up to the right again. It could go a hell of a lot worse, but it goes up to the right. And then we get these things, these creatures we love to hate. And that shows us, that's part of it, because it shows us what we don't want.
Mm-hmm.
So when we see it, we can say, okay, we've been functioning on 20 years of being nice people and inclusive people. And here's this guy saying, I'm not like that. And I'll kill anything that gets in my way. And he's quite honest about it. God, it's quite extraordinary. And yet, that's why people love him, because he appears to be honest. And they're so fed up with politicians like we've got that don't.
Mm-hmm. It's like we got into a type of dramas when we're talking about politics. It's like the politician needs to talk this way and needs to act this way. It's like an act, it's like a theater. But in reality,
Yeah.
behind the scene, you find so many different things. I'm not saying that this is good and this is bad, but just talking about the way of allowing this type of logic, you know, around us and in our politics, and choosing the act or theater instead of the truth or reality.
Yeah, I guess it's always been a bit of a theatre, right from Greek times. The trouble is we take them seriously.
Mm-hmm.
We vote them in. God, really?
And we give our agreement by voting. I don't know what you think about voting system, but I have some thoughts about that.
What do I think about, sorry, what?
About the voting, like voting for someone or giving your voice for a politician.
I think we're also damned ignorant about the actual, what's really going on. It would be more to the point, I suppose, if we could get some real democracy online. But this is going to sound appalling. The Greeks never gave anyone the vote except a few men. Women didn't have the vote. The slaves didn't have the vote. Should we give everybody the vote? And if we don't give everybody the vote, who do we not give the vote to? Somehow we've got to educate people. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I think it's a lousy system.
Mm-hmm. Ah, this is interesting. Maybe it's something, as we are talking about it and talking about 2020 and the new energies coming in, I feel that something will change through that. And I am getting two cards. I got the sun and I got freedom as two cards together, which both are beautiful and lovely, you know. So I would say let's get back to us. Let's get back to our own theater and our own act. What would you put into
Yeah.
for yourself for 2020? How do you enter to your 2020 usually, you know, to a new year? What do you do?
I used to spend quite a lot of time thinking about the old year, and saying goodbye to it. I'm not too sure what I do now, but I live in such a beautiful place that it's gorgeous every day, whatever the weather. There's often that you're in the clouds altogether and then you can't see anything. But at the moment, I'm just looking out at this gorgeous, gorgeous mountain and thinking, I don't really care, whatever.
Whatever comes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Here I come.
This is beautiful. And I got the magician. And maybe you just point out the key to be a magician is just do not care too much about the future. Maybe just focus on the moment. I got the
Well, the
magician.
new age is completely, sorry.
I got the magician card from your deck.
Yes. He can manifest anything. I think manifestation is such an interesting phenomenon because, again, what we just want, maybe more money, nice yacht, blah, 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 doesn't happen till we harness a lot of different things altogether. I had a great friend who got breast cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And she was doing her manifestations and positive thinking and eating well and this and this and this and this. And she died. And I thought, how can that be? Of all the people I know, I'd have put her much more self-aware that she could manifest health, but she didn't. Now, either she didn't really want to, which is possible, or she hadn't harnessed the shadow stuff plus the golden shadow plus what she wanted. It's quite possible she didn't want to live, actually. We never take that really into consideration. I think who's it? Freud talked about the death instinct, and I can't remember what Thanatos.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people would actually prefer not to be alive at all. They just don't want to die.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe she was one of those,
I don't know because we were talking about the physical and spiritual, and I feel that there is, from what I see, is that there is something cut out. It's like physical plane. We see like life as a chance, and we need to survive, and it's an injustice to die. But from the spiritual perspective, do we really care? We have time to do in the planet, and we are not that much connected to the spiritual part of us that says, okay, you know why you're gonna die maybe next year. It's like we are not connected too much, I would say, to that side of, to that death, and where do we need to die, or where do we need to stay or something. It's like we are in a way disconnected from our I don't know. Thinking about that.
I think we're disconnected from everything, actually. I don't think we live in our bodies. I don't think we really are in our spiritual being. That's what I'm saying. If the whole universe is conscious, then we are conscious entities, like the Devas, but with a physical body. It's not the other way around. But we approach everything from the physical, especially now, it's all money and all that stuff. But that's not where it's at. If we approached it from everything to be, this is me right now. I've just thought myself, I was running around like a chicken without a head before we got online. But that's past. It's gone. I'm now here. And how do I feel? I want my coffee. That's what I feel right now. Want my coffee.
This is so much interesting what you're talking about, because we did the program this month about cats, and we had few members participating, and we were talking about death and how cats, it's private group, it's not the public group, but we were talking about death and how cats treat, deal with cats, with death. And we found out that cats really sometimes it's hard, but usually they pass by the situation and live their lives, but we stick with that emotion, we stick with that experience as a human, and we live with it. And it's like we get through the act through that experience, but it's the past, but it stays there for a long, long time.
I don't know.
Mm.
I can't tell. Shall I ask the Davis?
Yes.
When in doubt, go to the oracle. Hey guys, what am I supposed to say here? What do you want me to say?
Seeing if there are some questions here. We are having an intuitive talk, all right? So there is nothing planned or something like that. We're just talking.
No, that's right.
Time to slow down.
This is humanity, if I can get it up on the screen. Humanity. I would say this is a lovely card. It's we're all in the gutter, and some of us are looking at the stars. So that's your answer. I like that.
This is wonderful. And I got external transformation. Does it mean maybe that death is just a physical experience? It's interesting too to think about.
I think our bodies do give up. It's a shame, actually, really, but I wouldn't want to be 500 years old. Jesus, can you imagine? It's bad enough being my age as it is. But no, I think our bodies actually run down. Everything dies. Even the universe will die. I want to be a tree. I'm going to get myself put into a seed. Well, you can buy these things that are seeds, and you turn into a tree eventually, if you're lucky. So I want to be a tree.
This is wonderful. I don't know what my body will want to be when I would be dead, but I'm sure that it will be part of the planet, of the earth, buried or whatever. Maybe it will become like gasoline, for the car. I don't know for the future, but what I'm sure about is that it gives me so much joy, and at the same time there is suffering, of course, but it is part of the game. Like I know you are a painter, and when you paint, you feel that joy, of colors, of touching the paint, of playing with them, of discovering, and we get that through our physical body too, So of course it's coming to the end, but let's enjoy it till then.
I've put in the Deva 2 deck that the Devas really envy us, our physicality. They'd rather, as pure energies, they don't have something we have, so that they would envy us completely. This is a gift that we've got.
Yes.
It may be a tough gift at times, but it's a gift.
That's true.
This life.
This is so interesting what you just said. They envy us for our physicality, and that's why sometimes they want to help us to, and they ask to be channeled, and sometimes they ask to feel some things, talking about spirits. I got this Queen of Swords again, and this card comes for you. It's you. So I will ask you with your sharp tongue to give us something we can do for 2020. Maybe spread, maybe spread about authenticity. Let's talk about that. Ask the deck.
Okay. What can we say about 2020? What can you bring in for 2020, guys? Oh, God. That is really something. Can't get this thing. Where's it? Again, it's not very clear in the picture because you can't see it properly and I can't hold it properly. But what it is, I'll post that one as well, is the one that I've put in as a dimensional shift.
Mm-hmm.
So in 2020, those of us who are ready for it will go into a dimensional shift.
What does it mean? How can we feel it? What's gonna happen?
I don't think we want to try to do it. It's funny because I've been watching Deepak Chopra, and he's been going through about being powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of what he says is great in theory.
Mm-hmm.
But if you try and be more powerful, try and do the theory, you're just thinking, you're not actually in it. So I don't think we need to do anything except be ourselves, be authentic.
Yeah. Mm.
But a friend of mine earlier this year gave me an example. She did this for me. She sends my Davis and the IT out. She posts them. And she was having to store them as well, and was saying to me, well, you have to have this for storage and this for sending them out and this for that. And I was like, oh, shit, this is real hard work. And then she said, but I've been thinking about it, and I actually think you gave me a car and you gave me a painting, and I'm going to give you this. So she doesn't charge me for storage. She doesn't charge me for sending them out. Every now and again, I send her a present.
Mm-hmm. This is wonderful.
That's what going up to another dimension is. That coming out of the old paradigm of, well, one for me and one for you and one for me and one for you and one for me and one for me. It's not that anymore.
Yeah. What came to me is really just allowing the energy to flow and things to happen. It's more flowing, feeling like more ether, water, energy, something like that,
Yeah, exactly. It's about flow, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Allowing the energies. It's like being in a river.
Mm-hmm.
If you fight the river, you don't get anywhere. If you flow with the river, you have a wonderful time.
And if you are afraid of the river, you won't enjoy the ride.
Yeah.
Our final cards before we close this beautiful discussion. I got the Empress from your tarot deck, the Intuitive Tarot. The Empress.
Which? Oh, the Empress.
Yes.
Oh my God. Yes. That's what's been missing, hasn't it, for 4,000 years?
Yes.
Our acknowledgement of the feminine.
Yes. And I got the Unity card, which is the oneness, the law of unity. And for me, it speaks a lot about this, like getting back the goddess, but not in the goddess like we used to know. Maybe talking about the higher consciousness, feminine presence into the world.
It's got to be both, doesn't it? It's got to be masculine and feminine. The masculine is such a gorgeous energy when we allow it to be.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That is true.
When they allow it to be as well. That again, time of the sixth sun. I was watching a program, the first program, the end, something about the Godfathers, and there was this guy called Mac McCartney on it, and he is quite extraordinary. He has a huge amount of wisdom, but no ego. How many men do you know like that? I don't know many.
Not much. We have all our egos and shadows to face for 2020 to get into the flow.
Absolutely. Well, we could be lucky 2020 could be when the calendars run out.
This is really interesting. And as the final card, I got the Ten of Swords, which tells me that we are coming to a close for our discussion. So I don't know if you have any message you want to give before we close the talk for today.
Well, I can't see the live comments. Is there anything that somebody wants to ask me specifically?
Let's see. I have just some people saying it's a refreshing conversation, ripping off the band-aid. Fascinating, interesting. Woodline, hi. She loves the Empress. We are talking about integration, and they are thanking us for the conversation. So I don't think there is any question because it was an intuitive talk. So take what speaks to you and leave the rest. Cilla, where we will find you next year with the 2 next decks?
Yeah, definitely. I've got 2 decks coming out next year.
Sure.
The Shimmering Veil and the Deva 2 deck, which I am really excited about because that's the one that, I mean, the Shimmering Veil tarot has been wonderful and I enjoyed it, but the Devas are really challenging me and I love that.
And you will, I just put your website also below if people want to keep in touch with you.
Yeah, I am attempting to revise my website. I should do it.
And also on Facebook, we can find you in Facebook. You are part of
Facebook, yeah,
and part of the group for this event, so you can find her if you want to discuss further with her.
Yeah, you'll put that live, won't you? Don't ask me to do it because
I did.
And technology.
So people are saying they are very excited about the new decks, Jennifer, and the challenges from the new Devas. Thank you, friends, for
thank you
for being here for today. Thank you, Cilla, for being here. I will meet with you maybe another time for another interview, and I will meet with you, viewers, tomorrow. We will be meeting Carmen, the creator of the Folarcos Tarot. Where is the Folarcos? Where did I put it?
Really great.
It is somewhere. And she lives in Italy, by the way. You are both in Italy. So yes, we'll be meeting with Carmen tomorrow. I have just put the link into my YouTube channel. I will wish you also a good continuation for this big event and see you soon. Bye-bye, Cilla. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thanks. Bye.